Well, hello there, everybody. All you comic book fans. Welcome to the Epic Marvel Podcast YouTube channel, where I unbox some new books that are either coming out or just coming out. Look at that. I got little things. You got to be symmetrical right here, right? Okay. Um, We've got a lot of people in the chat already. This is great. Mega Games says, "What a year for comics. JLA Avengers facsimiles and a rumored collection edition at Christmas. Rejoice, my friends." We all wondered why it wasn't included in the crossovers omnibus, and the answer is because it will make them more money to make you buy two books instead of one. So there you go. It is coming. You were first and second. Yes, you were. Saturday Morning Fan is here. Guimero Maldonado. That's a great name. Super Job, JV, James, Lance the Library, another James, Stoger, Pillbox Hat. Look at all these names. Joel, Logan. Will Marvel ever do new universe epics? I'm pretty sure that it's kind of low on their priority list. They a few years back they did a Star Brand thick trade, and that was right about the time when Star Brand had joined the Avengers, and they are folding that character into the regular Marvel universe. And they also did one for a character called Night Mask. I think that's the character. And so they gave those a fair shot. I don't think either of them sold particularly well. So who knows if we'll see any more new universe epics. I think just with the epic branding, that would help them sell a few copies. But I don't know if they're going to waste their time with that. Who knows? It'd be great. DP7 had a couple of thinner collections, but not the epic size ones. I was just mentioning the epic size trades there. Stoger wants to let us know that a person called Fanaticals on eBay has cheap epics starting this week. So look up that user on eBay if you want to try and fill in some of your gaps for cheap. Okay, I've got a couple of things to show you, and then we'll dive into one epic and one DC Finest. The first thing is I got this in the mail the other day. I'm a kid of the 80s and the 90s. I was born in 81, so that means I was a good TV watching age, during the late 80s and early 90s. Those were my formative TV watching years, and that informed a lot of my love for certain areas of pop culture. And so, of course, I am a fan of DuckTales. And this company, what are they called? Um, I forget what they're called. The company called Entrada. Entrada put out a 2-disc set of the DuckTales soundtrack, which I want to say is one of the best 80s soundtracks of a cartoon out there. It is so good. I've always been a fan of this music. There have been a few like release tracks on YouTube and such, but this is really, really great. They worked in conjunction with the composer Ron Jones. And apparently, Disney doesn't have any of these tracks in their archives, but Ron Jones was able to save some of it, not all of it, but he has some of it in his own personal archives, the recordings, and that's what's used for this. It's wonderful. So the 2 discs are a couple of suites from the earliest episodes, including one of my favorite episodes, Armstrong. And I don't know if you can't see the track listing there. So there's about 5 or 6, I think, episodes represented on the first disc from the early era of DuckTales, and then the second disc has music from the second season where they had these longer serials, like with the introduction with Gizmo Duck and Bubba Duck, and those suites are on here as well. It's got a couple of different versions of the theme song, and there's even a huge, like, 20-page book that goes through his songs and gives us a really, really nice interview and overview of all of the people and stuff. Like, this is so good. I don't usually promote this kind of stuff on this YouTube channel, but I'm a big fan. It's really good, and it's in stereo. You can only hear it, I've heard this music so much in mono because of TV broadcasts and the DVDs are mono, but this is in stereo, so it's really, really, really good. I just can't get over that. Did you watch the DuckTales revival show? I sure did, and it is fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a nice tribute to the original and also to the comics, but also updated in a very relevant way that made it its own thing, and it was smart, and I loved it. New DuckTales action figures also. I saw that reveal. I am looking forward to that. Launchpad doesn't look that great, but I'll definitely get that Gizmo Duck for sure. Okay, so this last weekend, I was at Fan Expo, which is the local comic book show. Sorry, no, it was the weekend before that actually. Um, it's a Fan Expo. I think I talked about this last week, right? They have a whole bunch of different conventions across the country in United States and Canada. So we have one that comes up here to Vancouver on a regular basis. A friend of mine was tabling because he has a book of his own. It's called Armored, and it's really great. You should check it out. But so I went and hung out with him for the weekend and picked up a bunch of stuff. And here are some of the books that I got. I'm not going to show you everything. I found a dollar bin that had these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures comics. And of course, like I said, this is my era. I love this. And I've never really collected the comics, which were published by Archie way back in the day. But I was able to get a bunch of single issues for a buck a piece. So I'm very happy about that. They're a lot of fun. I've got maybe, you know, 10 or 12 other issues from this series. So it'll be I'm going to start more actively trying to piece it together. And then the other book, the person who was sitting right beside my friend Michael Schwartz was Faith Erin Hicks, who does a lot of young adult or sorry, yeah, young adult or early like teen kind of books with a company called First Second. I'm a big fan of hers. She does tremendous work, and she did a 4 issue version. This is not her artwork on the front, but she did a 4 issue limited series about the Mummy, the old Universal monster from the 1930s. And Image and Skybound have been doing a bunch of miniseries in conjunction with Universal Monsters. They did, Dracula and the Creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein, and I think they're doing the Invisible Man right now. But this one is the Mummy, and it's really great. I got her to sign it and draw a little mummy on the inside, and it's great. She's got a really nice, it's cartoony yet realistic style, and it takes this story and it kind of gives it a little modern update. It takes place in the 20s when the original takes place, but it brings it just has a more modern day storytelling form to it. It's quite well done. There are a few differences, of course, in the way that the story is told as well, but all quite well. It's very good. Universal Monsters needs an Abbott and Costello comic. Yeah, that's right. Sure do. Um, love those Archie Turtles comics when they first came out. Yeah, I have the Archie Turtles crossover comic too, and that one's a lot of fun. Those Archie comics quickly became very bonkers and very good. Very nice. Those were for parents picking up the Mirage series for the kids and going, "What the hell is this?" That's great. Yeah, absolutely. No, so give this a chance if you want. This is it's really, really great. So Faith Erin Hicks is the writer and author of this miniseries, and I definitely recommend that. So that's the extraneous content for the day. Let's get into unboxing some books. We'll start with the DC Finest. This one came out this week, and it is a series that I've never read before, but it's by a master of the comics, Jack Kirby. It's The Demon, Birth of the Demon. Jack Kirby, when he went over to DC, got to do a lot of different comics, including his Fourth World stuff. And it's a little turned up in the corner there. That's too bad. I'll have to try and bend that back. Um, let's see here. This is 1972 to 1981. That's actually a big span. But I believe that it includes the entire Kirby series as well as some other stuff after that. So it has the Demon 1 to 16 written and drawn by Kirby, plus Batman Family 17, Brave and the Bold 109 and 137, that's a team up book, and Detective Comics 482 to 485, which must be backup stories, and Wonder Woman 280 to 282, which I think is a guest appearance. You can see it right there, Wonder Woman. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I love his artwork during this era when he gets kind of way more stylized than usual, but I'm not actually a huge fan of his writing. I think that he gets a little overbloated, and I admit I haven't read this, but I have read a lot of Fourth World and felt that way about Fourth World, and I felt that way about a lot of his Marvel 70s stuff as well, like Black Panther and Eternals. So I'm going to give this still a shot. Some of the draw of this is my friend Phil Owens was telling me that this is before Etrigan starts rhyming all of his words, which I always find super annoying. Um, and it takes way longer to read than it should. So this is before that. So I'm actually kind of happy about that. But it looks cool. And I like the idea of Etrigan. So I think that it's just kind of I'll go along with this and read it and see. It looks so fun. Yeah, okay, let's see. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Wonder if we're gonna see any gorillas in here. What is that? That's a looks like a harpy or something. Yeah, it is a harpy. Not quite a gorilla. Yeah, his splash pages are great. And I think this is inked by Mike Royer, who's his regular collaborator through these years. Let me see um, if it says in here. Yeah, Mike Royer. Yeah. And I like the combo of those two of them. I think Mike Royer really adds a lot to Kirby in interpreting. Now, Kirby was a tight penciler, so there wasn't a whole lot of interpretation to do, but all of just bringing all of these blacks and the way he does the shading and such, super good. They're a great team, and it brings out Kirby's greatness. There's a lot in here. Please let us know what you thought of it once you finish it. I will definitely give my full review over on the Dom of X YouTube channel, which I'll tell you about when that's coming out. No rhyming. You're out. What? Come on. I love first Kirby's Fourth World Saga, but more for his art and ambitious ideas than his writing. Yeah, that's about that's about it. All hail the king. That's right. Stoger says, "Does Jack draw most or all of this? He draws the first. He draws the 17 issue series." Do, 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 do. There you go. So this is Kirby, and this is non-Kirby. So you can see maybe 3/4 of it is Kirby, and another quarter of it is the stuff that happens after that, which is Batman Brave and the Bold. And who draws this one? Bob Haney. Oh no, sorry, Bob Haney's the writer with John Calnan and Bob McLeod on art for that one, The Hour of the Serpent. And then after that is another story featuring the demon Man Bat. I guess it's another Brave and the Bold, but no cover on that one. I guess maybe because Demon is not featured on the cover. Or maybe this is one of the backup stories. Actually, that's probably what this is. These are the Detective Comics backup stories. Oh, oh, look at that! There's a gorilla on the cover of Batman Family. That means there's a gorilla on the inside too, right? Let's see if I can find it. No gorilla, but there's a cool character that kind of looks like Star Fox from Marvel. Baron Time. It almost looks a Ditko-ish. Who drew this one? Oh, this is definitely Ditko. Steve Ditko. Doing this one, Return to Castle Brannock. That's cool. So we get some Ditko in here as well as Jack Kirby. Awesome. That's very cool. He Ditko. Oh, Steve Ditko's on the cover. I should have read that. Jack Kirby, Len Wein, and Steve Ditko. So he is represented there. You can't not put Steve Ditko on the cover of a book. That just is silly. If he's in there, you got to mention it because that's going to be a big selling point. Here are the Wonder Woman stories. Who's drawing this one? Jose Delbo. I like Jose Delbo. I think he's great. Um, he's kind of in that same style as Garcia Lopez, and it's just a great classic look. I think his work and Garcia Lopez is kind of the what I considered, and I think a lot of people consider that to be kind of the definitive DC style of the classic era. I love his work, so that's cool. So those are the Wonder Woman issues. That's it. There's the demon on the side. It's kind of cool to have it all in one collection. There have been collections in the past of this work. In fact, there was kind of a thickish trade that collected this entire series. It had like a was it neon pink or something on it? And but that had only the demon, like the Kirby series in it. It was part of, I think, a larger imprint that did a whole bunch of different of the Kirby comics for DC. But this one has those extra issues at the back. So if you are um, wanting the demon, you wanting more, if you want those bonus issues, you're gonna have to pick this one up. Batman Family number 17. Where else is that one going to be? I don't know. Are we going to get a Batman Family DC Finest? Who knows? Pillbox says, I agree. Jack could have used an editor, but he was the king. Yeah, and you kind of just let the king do whatever he wants. Yes, Batmite is in this book. I did see that. We should get a Batmite Finest. That would be great. I have most of this in the nice Kirby Demon hardcover, or is it considered an Omni? Well, the actual meaning of the word omnibus is collected is like in full or complete. So that would still be an omnibus, but maybe not a capital O omnibus. Not worth getting the finest for me just for the guest appearances. Okay, fine, James. Whatever. Is there a movie or TV show with Etrigan coming out? Wondering why DC is choosing this character to spotlight on. No movie that I know of. I think this one is because Jack Kirby, they just kind of always keep Jack Kirby stuff in print. And that's what the draw is with this one. Maybe dreading is the wrong word, but I'm not looking forward to it. Well, Logan, you know what? If it's not, I wouldn't waste your money on it then if you're not looking forward to it. Don't buy it if you don't think that you're going to enjoy it. I say that saying, just having said that I don't really like a lot of Kirby in the 70s, but I'm doing it for all of you. Oh, Lance is having a conversation there. DC Comics presents Will the He-Man issue be skipped in the finest team-up book? Probably. Who owns He-Man? I don't know. Read your comment before that. I missed the comment. Where did it go? Sorry, I don't know where your comment was. Okay, I don't know. If they want to do a complete Demon Run in Finest, it probably won't be that many volumes, will it? Yeah, I mean, he is kind of a sporadic character. He's not one of those that is constantly, constantly has a series just because he's not that great. Mattel owns He-Man and DreamWorks owns the 80s cartoons. Yeah, I don't think that there's a chance that DC is going to put that in there without getting like they'd have to get the license for just the one issue. Probably not worth it for a $40 paperback that they probably aren't making very much money on. Let's see. Should we look at the finest? I mean, the Epic. Should we look at the Epic collection? This is a special one. You want to know why? This is Epic number 500. We have 500 Epic collections now, or we will once this one comes out in late March. This is the book for the last week of March. And what is it going to be? Avengers. How fitting that it's an Avengers volume. Avengers, Absolute Vision, Epic number 500. And here they all are listed inside and out. That's a lot of actually that's not all of them because that list doesn't include Star Wars, doesn't include modern. That's just the classic stuff. So this is it. This is volume 14, giving us a complete run of 14 volumes in a row. We're missing volume 15 and 16, I believe. Let me just double check to make sure because only volume 15. We are missing only one volume now because we have volume 16 Under Siege all the way to volume 27 Time Slide, which takes us up to Heroes Reborn. So this is our 2026 volume for this era. 2027, hopefully, if they stay on track with things, we will get volume 15 and we will have a complete run of Avengers from the very beginning all the way to Heroes Reborn. And that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's there's the spine box. It looks like it's Thor. And then the back cover, absolute control for the Vision may mean the end of the world for us. And this has Avengers numbers 8 to 254 plus annual number 13. It's got a $50 cover price on it. Trying to piggyback on the Absolute Fever. I wonder if that's true because they published these out of order for some reason, for a very, very odd reason. Um, oh no, actually that was before that. They did 13 and then they went back to 12 and then they did 14. But but yeah, you're right. They might be doing that on purpose. I don't know. But this is what the story was called. The old trade is called Absolute Vision. So it may be just coincidence that they've reached this point when DC decided to do their absolute stuff. After James's comment about the omnibus, I asked you what you thought of Kirby's Black Panther because his run is collected in the new Black Panther Omni. It's part, and I'm looking forward to reading the least. Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of boring and it's kind of weird and it doesn't feel like Black Panther. So yeah, go ahead and read some of it at least. I think this is the Vision tries to take over the world era. That is absolutely correct. You want to see inside? Um, looks like an Al Milgrom cover right there on the cover. This is Roger Stern with Bob Hall and Al Milgrom doing the art. Bob Hall and Al Milgrom. And oh, who's starting this one off though? Al Milgrom. Wow. This is Al Milgrom with Joe Sinnott. Look at that. I was just talking about Al Milgrom's artwork in the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries, and I was saying how He inked himself, and he was trying to change up his style. And it looks very different. Al Milgrom really changes depending on who his inker is. Joe Sinnott, look at that. I was like, who the heck is that? That's certainly not Al Milgrom, but that's Joe Sinnott's artwork. Makes it kind of almost look like Tom Grummett, but that's Joe Sinnott will take. He took artwork, the people's pencils, and put his own style on top of it, and that's what changes a lot uh, for Al Milgrom. He was about 10 years younger here, though. That's true. What is this? 1983 to 1985? No, actually, he was only a few years younger at this point because that miniseries, I think, is well, let's see, it was 1984. So yeah, no, this is the same time period, exactly the same time period. It's just the difference is the inker. Which was the first epic printed for Marvel, or was there more than one? The very first one was Iron Man, Epic Collection Volume 10, The Enemy Within. That is the first epic collection that launched way back in 2013. And then after like a week later, the next one came out, and it was I think it was Avengers, The Final Threat. I think that's what it was. Look at that Thor right there. He's so happy. Jolly old Thor. Earth's mightiest heroes return from the Secret Wars. And so that gives you an idea of this era that we're in, the Secret Wars era. And is that a dire wraith? Yep, that's a dire wraith from Rom. At the same time, they were appearing in X-Men, causing problems for the X-Men as well. And it was during that whole time period where the everything was in the winter because stuff was happening over in Simonson's Thor. The Casket of Eternal Winters was being opened. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of going on in the Marvel universe at this time. Everything was sort of interconnected in the background. Yeah, Beast was part of the team here. We have the Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel as well. This is a different artist, that's for sure. Is this Bob Hall? I'm just going to do a little quick check here. It doesn't quite look like it to me, but maybe it is. Um, oh, Steve Ditko and John Byrne. Yeah, no wonder. This is an odd combination. So one is inking the other. Who is it? Is it Ditko inking John Byrne or John Byrne inking Steve Ditko? Because some of these faces look very Ditko, some of them look very John Byrne. What a weird combination. That's definitely Ditko drawing it, though. Do with the layouts. That's a Ditko hand. Ditko hands, Ditko weirdness. Must be John Byrne inking it, though. That's such a strange combination. And then some more of Al Milgrom. Yeah, I think so. They were on for just a very, very short time, and this might be that era. Oh, into the Unimind, we're getting some Eternals action in here because I think was Circe on the team at the time? I can't remember. Oh yeah, there you go. Look at all those Eternals. Oh, Star Fox is on the team. That's what it is. That's the connection because he's an Eternal. There's one of those MCU threads that never happened, right? We saw Star Fox come up in the post-credit scenes, and he just kind of never showed up after that. It's too bad. Harry Styles is probably like, this is going to make me famous. This is the Bob Hall stuff now. Bob Hall has a great style as well. And I think it looks like it still may be inked by Joe Sinnott. Yeah, Bob Hall does the breakdowns, Joe Sinnott does the finisher, so it actually looks like kind of the same guy. Like the artwork never changes. Star Fox with the most problematic powers through 2026. Yes, that's very true. ROM synergy across the Marvel titles. I think the difference is the inking, and that Milgram was trying to emulate Miller's style in a little in Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. This is pure Milgram. Come on, he wasn't that bad. It's not pure Milgram. It really isn't. It's definitely influenced by Joe Sinnott, and that's because Joe did that to everybody he worked on, even Kirby. Even Kirby, he would put his own style over top. Have you seen John Buscema inked by Joe Sinnott? Kind of looks like Kirby. An issue of Spider-Man had the winter also that month. Yeah, so did X-Men and such. I just read that issue of X-Men not too long ago. Hercules was a post scene as well as Pip and Blade also. All of those guys. Yeah, it was like they had so many great ideas and all of them too many at one time, and they couldn't deliver, and they had pulled back the reins, and now we're stuck with dangling plot threads, which maybe they'll address them all in um, Avengers Doomsday, so they don't have to give each of these characters their own movies. Because let's face it, they don't need their own movies. There's a house ad that's kind of cool. I like that with the A for on Captain America's head. Not my favorite costume for the Wasp. Makes me think of Molecule Man and heroes like purple and green. Those are villain colors. I don't know why she's wearing that. And what is this? Behind the Lines special report. The story behind Avengers JLA team up controversy. Wow, that's cool. There was supposed to be a JLA Avengers crossover around this time in the 80s, but it never came to be. And here's the full story, I guess. That's great. I have not read that, so I'll look forward to that. Oh, that's a nice picture. Yeah, that's a nice picture. I think I've seen that as a poster. Marvel press poster number 7. Yeah, look at that. It was a poster. That's the team at the time, kind of the West Coast and the East Coast. So yeah, the West Coast is on that side, and the East Coast is on this side. Or sorry, yeah, the East Coast is on this side. I got it right. Oh, and the pencils, original pencils. That's cool. Or inks, I guess, original inks, and some character designs by Roger Stern. Oh no, courtesy of Roger Stern. Mark Grunwald did this design. Awesome. There you go. Do you consider Hulk and Donatello villains, Curtis? Donatello, like the Ninja Turtle. Hulk, I mean, he kind of started off that way. When he started off, he was the Hulk was the evil side of Dr. Banner. It was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. So I think those colors actually were very appropriate. He's still considered to be a monster by a bunch. Comics newbie here by Mystery Compendium. Do you think the best decades of Marvel is in bygone days or is the best yet to come? That is a hard question to answer, and it'll change depending on who you ask. If you ask a bunch of us oldies, we'll definitely say, yeah, the olden days are the best. There's nothing in the modern age is comparable. But if you ask someone who is, growing up in this era and reading the new comics as they come out, then their opinions are going to be different. So I'm going to say that Marvel has had great decades in the past. My favorite is the 80s, but that might be because I have a nostalgia for it when I was growing up. A lot of people think that the 2000s is kind of where Marvel peaked there, and some people are like, no, the 60s, Marvel, it all went downhill after the 60s, and so it's a very subjective question. Um, is the best yet to come? I don't know if the best is yet to come. I think that there's a lot to be said about the way Marvel is made these days in a corporate landscape versus how it was done way back in the past, where it was way more of a um, a bunch of friends kind of getting together and making comics. Marvel has the potential to still be the best it has ever been, and whether that'll happen, I don't know. Great question, though. I think they have that story in JLA Avengers Collected Edition. How many epics cover the Roger Stern run, and are they all in print? Let's see here. Where does the Roger Stern run start? I don't remember. It's because it goes through, let's see, Under Siege. So Judgment Day, Under Siege just got a no, Judgment Day just got a reprint recently, didn't it? Or was it Under Siege? Yeah, it was Under Siege. Got a reprint recently. Judgment Day got a reprint not that long ago as well. I think that you're going to look at not all, and volume 15 isn't even out yet. So we're looking at about 5 or 6 volumes, and they are mostly all in print, not quite all. Conroy Jet says he started around 226 or 227, he believes. That would make that, oh yeah, volume 13, Season of the Witch, starts with 227. I believe that is correct. So that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 5 volumes of Roger Stern's Avengers. 60s and 70s for the artists, 80s and 90s for the writers, for you. Uh, just tongue-in-cheek response to Kurtis saying green and purple were villain colors. Yeah, I know. Very cool. Is that a Sentinel figure behind you? Yes, it is. From the old Marvel Legends set. Is it one of those Build-A-Figures? The only big Build-A-Figure I got. It's one of the only Marvel Legends I have left. I got rid of most of those ones. I collected those when they first came out with those first several waves. And then I was like, these are taking up too much space. I'd rather have my shelves filled with books than action figures. So I got rid of the figures, but I like the Sentinel enough. I kept that one. I also had most of Galactus except for one leg. Never got that last leg. So I sold it for parts. 80s had too many phenomenal runs, some of them running simultaneously. It was the best era to me, and thanks to Jim Shooter as well as the creators. But the 80s also had Secret Wars too. Yeah, not every decade is perfect. There's no decade that's going to be all winners. Curtis, who's your favorite comic artist? That's a great question. I have always been a fan, and I know people are hot and cold on this guy. I've always been a fan of Chris Bachalo because I love Generation X. He was one of the biggest reasons I loved Generation X at the beginning. His art through the early 90s is just incredible. Shade the Changing Man and stuff, Ghost Rider 2099, so good. His style has undergone dramatic changes over the years, and his style nowadays is, in my opinion, not as good as it was before, but he still is a solid artist, and I still like when he does it. I just think maybe his layouts are a little overcomplicated these days. But man, that early Generation X stuff is just so good. Death's Head and Darkhawk did get a legend figured, but no Circuit Breaker. Circuit Breaker, yeah, that would be funny if they got a Circuit Breaker one. Because that's a Transformers character, right? The 80s had Secret Wars 3 also. That was one of the most bonkers stories. It's in the pages of Fantastic Four by Steve Englehart, and it is so weird, and it is just way out there. Well, everybody, what did we talk about today? Let's back up. Let's go in reverse order here. We talked about Avengers Epic Collection, Volume 14, Absolute Vision, the 500th Epic Collection. And we talked about the Demon, DC Finest Demon, which is maybe like the 50th Epic Collection. Sorry, the 50th DC Finest. They've got a ways to go to catch up to Epics. I also, at the beginning, talked about this Mummy miniseries by Faith Erin Hicks, published by Image and Skybound. It's a new adaptation of the old Universal Monster movie. And then I also talked about a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics I found in the dollar bin at a comic convention recently. And then I also talked about the DuckTales soundtrack, 2-disc set that came on a CD just a little while ago. So there you go. A lot of 80s content in here, and then some new stuff, and just a lot of fun. This is going to be a great week for reading. I have got a lot of reading on my plate because I've got a whole ton of new comic strip collections as well that have come my way, and um, some cool news is I get to be a judge for the Doug Wright Awards, which is a Canadian comic book award ceremony, where we just it's awards specifically for Canadian comic creators. And so I got a box of like 30 books that I need to read super fast in order to participate in this, get the short list for nominations. So I need to plow through that really fast, along with all of my other reading. And I'm going to be on Dom of X YouTube channel for Finest Fridays. I believe that's this Friday. And we'll be talking about the very first volume of Batman. No, the very first volume of Batman plus the second volume of Doom Patrol. So there you go. How prestigious. Yeah, thanks. It is. I think it is an honor. It's I mean, they were just sort of like, who wants to be a judge? And I said, I'll do it. So it's not that it's like too prestigious. You do have to be in the industry, which is something that I am now. So that's kind of cool. 80s is the best comics decade. I think it was also the best decade for music. I mean, I'm a 90s alternative guy, so for me, that's the best. But 80s had some good action movies too, Die Hard and all that. And Beetlejuice, then Back to the Future, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. Uh, 80s was a good decade. Just yeah, we'll see. Yeah, everyone's gonna have their own opinions on music. Yeah, 1984 specifically, best music, movie, and comics. Interesting. Okay. Curtis, what are your thoughts on Steve Canyon comic strip? I haven't read any and value your opinion, my friend. Thanks in advance. Steve Canyon is interesting because um, it's good. I do enjoy 3 or 4 years, and that's not very much because Steve Canyon went on for a long, long, long time. Um, Steve Canyon, for those of you who don't know, is a newspaper comic strip by Milton Caniff, the guy who did Terry and the Pirates. And I've said many times, Terry and the Pirates is possibly my favorite comic of all time. Really, really great stuff. He had problems with the Syndicate and left Terry and the Pirates and went on to create his own comic strip that was wholly independently owned by him called Steve Canyon. There's a lot of similarities in there. I think that I find that the stories just aren't as engaging. Um, the stakes don't ramp up quite as high as they do in Terry and the Pirates. But Steve Canyon is still worth it. Once you get several years into that strip, then it just seems to be a bit more repetitive and like he's kind of losing his steam a little bit. So take it as you will. But the first few volumes are definitely great. Steve Canyon did meet Popeye the Sailor, Phantom and Flash Gordon in a TV special. That's pretty cool. All of those are from the same syndicate, King Features. So that makes sense. That's good. Well, everybody, I think it's time for me to sign off. It has been wonderful talking to all of you for the past 45 minutes. I value all your comments. Thank you for being very chatty in the chat today. It's been great going through those. And yeah, you're starting to see the Epic collections that we announced a little while back start to pop up on the Penguin Random House site. And that's a sign that Penguin Random House is starting to get the publishers to give them the stuff that they need for the website. So we will be seeing new DC Finest collections being added to there very soon. They should sometime this week, I would imagine, we'll start to see those new announcements roll out. So keep your eye on the DC Finest Facebook page because people will be sharing that information as soon as it hits that website. There are people who have algorithms set up that give them alerts when new stuff comes on the website, and it's going to be pretty good. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this next year of DC Finest. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, or maybe on Friday if you go to Dom of X YouTube channel for Finest Friday.